Do you need a few good ideas to help your playing over minor? In this video, I've got 2 quick tips to improve your playing over minor key areas. Hi, my name is Jason Klobnak and I'm a jazz trumpeter from Denver, Colorado that helps musicians find a better way to improvise. If you're looking for a quick jazz improv tip that will help your soloing, then you've come to the right place. Minor keys and key areas. For many beginner improvisers, they tend to shy away from them because they're still working hard on figuring out how to play in major. The problem with doing that is the majority of progressions in major have temporary modulations into minor, even if it's only for a bar or 2. So the question is, how do we navigate them and still sound like we're really playing something? So let's start with the first idea to help your playing over minor. And that is translate your majors into minors. You've been working on your major scale, so this is a quick jump into minor without a lot of mental gymnastics. One of the coolest aspects I find in music is all of the relationships and similarities keys, scales, and other elements share with one another. If you've seen any of my previous videos, you know I'm a fan of the pentatonic scale for a number of reasons. Beyond their versatility, for this, it's noticing the relationship. Guitar players are typically started with minor pentatonics first because of how they sit on the fretboard and their finger patterns. Here's the G minor pentatonic scale. If you notice, it's the same thing as the B flat major pentatonic scale, just starting on a different note, which means B flat major and G minor are related to each other. You've probably heard the term relative minor or relative major before. Well, this is it. We could dive into more theory and talk about the different types of minor and which ones are exact relationships, but would rather keep this idea simple for you. When you see a minor key area, like a minor 2-5-1 in G minor, for example, you can translate it over to major. You can think about the minor third of G minor being the B flat. You can think up 3.5 steps or semitones, or whatever works quickly for you. For me, I've just memorized the relative major for every minor key. And because we're using the pentatonic scale for all of their melodic availabilities, you can play some great content with just that. But, as you'll quickly discover, you can't just live in pentatonic land. It's obvious, and there are some clashes on the altered dominant 5-7 chord that precedes the minor chord that you're going to be targeting. So what do? Before I share my preference, let me tell you what most teachers will tell you. Learn your scales for that minor 2-5-1 or use the harmonic minor scale. My issue with starting there is that you become focused on the scale itself, playing right notes, and just running things that sound like scales. So here's the second idea for improving your playing over minor. It's a concept called the diminished ladder or diminished connectors. In this context, we're only going to use the fully diminished chord. And there are only 3 that occur in music, and they're fully symmetrical, which means that it's the same chord no matter how you approach it. You're just changing which note is in the root position. But again, this isn't a lesson on diminished chords, so let's talk about how to use them. We're going to use G minor as our example. If you take the triad of the G minor chord, the G, B flat, D, and place a fully diminished chord starting on a half step below the root of G, you would have an F sharp diminished chord. F sharp, A, C, E flat, or D sharp. Yes, there are enharmonics. But don't get hung up on that for playing purposes. If you're translating from major, you can use a half step below the B flat, and now you have, guess what? The exact same diminished chord, just starting on an A. All right, here's the really cool part of this tip. That chord can be used as an arpeggio in between the major pentatonic scale as a connector or ladder to get to your targets. Here's an example of what they sound like. So if you were to interject this fully diminished arpeggio in between the pentatonic scale and your melodic ideas, It creates all types of tension that's found in that altered dominant chord before you resolve it into your target. This is because the diminished chord functions like a dominant chord, and it has all of the essential notes found in that chord. If you're wondering, well, Jason, does that mean I just run this arpeggio up and down when it's over the 5 chord? Well, you can, but it can be inserted anywhere inside of your line. The hidden treasure inside of improvising is creating tension and resolution regardless of the underlying harmony. You can imply the 5 chord at any time. Let me show you some examples over the chord progression to my song SIK. It's in E flat minor over the A sections, or you can think of it as G flat or F sharp major if you're going to translate over to major. When I'm done, you'll get a chance to try it out yourself. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you thought of these 2 ideas. Most of my students have said this is one of the keys to unlocking minor playing for them. I've got more on these diminished ladders and connectors in my targeting method. There's a link below in the description on how you can check that out and do it for free for 7 days. I hope you've enjoyed this video and that it has added value or benefit to your playing in some way. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell that's right next to it that lets you know when another video comes out. And if you know any other musician that might find this useful, you can share it with them too. Until then, my name is Jason Klobnak, and I'll see you on the next one.